Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 105 of the Game Changers. I am your host, Carla, and tonight I'm turning up the heat with the brilliant Dr. John Bush. Dr.
Okay.
John doesn't just know the game, he reads the plays before they happen. And we're about to pull back the curtain on the game behind the game. Big love to the TSA team for fueling this mission and of amplifying voices and sparking ideas. This show exists because of visionaries like them and listeners like you. If you want fantasy football gold, perspective shifting stories, or a fresh way to see the world, you are in the right place. The Game Changers isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Let's get into it. Who is Dr. John Bush? Science of Fantasy Football. Dr. Bush is the mind behind the science of fantasy football, a research driven approach that blends data, biology, and decades of analytical experience. A retired professor of biology at the University of Arkansas at Little
Echo.
Rock. Huh?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Bush brings a scientist's precision to the fantasy football world, transforming complex trends into clear, actionable insights for players at every level. Since joining the fantasy community in 2015, he has built a reputation for deep statistical modeling, innovative player profiling, and his signature FF Lab, where he breaks down the game through a scientific lens. Based in Arkansas, Dr. Bush shares his work through his website and YouTube channel, helping fantasy managers understand not just what to do, but why the data points in that direction. A lifelong learner, born on February 8th, Dr. Bush continues to push the boundaries of fantasy football research, making him one of the most unique and respected voices in this space. Dr. Bush, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Thank you very much for that series of descriptors. Probably don't deserve but half, maybe. Retired molecular, yeah, retired molecular biologist. I've been doing data analysis since the 1970s. Started
Wow.
getting my degrees and have a BS in zoology, a master's in zoology, and a PhD in microbiology and immunology, and was
That's
a
amazing.
university professor for 30 years, almost 29 and a half years. And I'm retired,
Such an
and
honor.
it's all fantasy football all the time here.
This is such an honor for me, honestly. I mean, I just started my journey on becoming Dr. Hazam as well. So I'm trying to finish my PhD in education. And this is such an honor to have you on the show, Dr. Bush. Like, I
Okay.
heard a lot about you, but to be like in the same space, that's such an honor for me. So thank you. I really
Okay.
appreciate
Okay.
your
No
time.
problem. No problem.
So let's talk. What first hooked you on fantasy football, and how did that interest evolve into a research project?
Okay. So how did I get involved? Probably going back to my love of maybe horse race handicapping.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
betting back in the 1970s and 80s. Just trying to figure out a way to make a little money at the racetrack, and got a lot of data in that world. And as a biologist, I've been dealing with data and analysis, and I've just expanded game theory and money management and decisions. Here's the key word: decision making under uncertainty. That is,
Wow.
if in a nutshell, making decisions when you don't know all the landscape. You're there. You don't know everything. You cannot see everything. And fantasy football is a lot like that. You have these ideas, but until the game is played in each quarter, in each play, things can happen that it just happens, and it's hard to predict the future. If I could predict the future, Carla, I would probably be somewhere else shipping champagne in a big penthouse somewhere in Las Vegas or something. But here I am in Arkansas, so I'm still
I'll be
working
with you.
on this. Yeah, we'd be partying in Vegas here. It's
I
hard
love
to
that.
predict. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, this has been a year for a lot of fantasy football onto the yes. What can you tell? Like talking about if we can predict the future, it has been an eye opening. Not many teams that people were predicting
Mhm.
made the playoffs this year. Did you make a different prediction, and what was it an eye opening for you, Professor, this year?
This year, particularly, probably just a continuation of how to deal with injuries, how to deal with new players that show up during the season, how they're going to be used or not used. And it's always a lot of questions. And every week you're thinking about these questions. And I try to develop data metrics to help me make some predictions. And that's, like I said, it's hard to do. I don't know all the pieces of the puzzle. And I love puzzles, right? I mean, as a
Yes.
biologist, you go outside and why is this, animal doing this? Or why do they live here? Or why do they eat this? Or why do they come out at night? Or why do they come out during the day? There's a lot of major interesting questions as a kid that I was interested in. And that's just the personality I have. And fantasy football is a way to continue that journey of trying to figure things out. I like to figure things out or try.
I love that. I love that. So education has been an important door for you as well.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
How did your training as a biology professor shape the way you
Mhm.
approach fantasy football problems?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, the scientific method, science of fantasy football. That's the website that's using the scientific approach. There's questions, and you then try to figure out the answer to the questions, and sometimes it's no, which is fine. That's an answer. People get upset. Well, I was wrong about this. Sometimes being wrong is right for the wrong reasons. In other words, it helps you not waste your time over here. It actually points you somewhere else. So don't get discouraged, folks. It's a journey. It doesn't start and stop with one game or one week. Become a pilgrim like me. We're on a journey, and that's what is important, is the journey, and enjoy it, not get angry and throw things at your TV. Okay. It's the journey. It's life.
I
Enjoy
love that.
life.
I
Okay.
love that.
Enjoy it. So I would suggest, and Carla, and this is something that your kids could do. And I tell my kids, keep a diary of what your journey is. What have you learned? For biology, and a lot of kids are going to medical school, they will volunteer. And I'll say, keep track of what you saw in your volunteering. What were things that seemed to work for helping people? What didn't work? So when they ask you, why do you want to be a doctor or a dentist or a pharmacist? You'll have something to talk about. And, in high school, now's the time to train yourself to keep track of what was important or not. If Miss Carla says something in your class, kids, I don't know if your kids listen, but you probably should write it down. And a few years you open it up. She was right about that. Well, write her a letter, send her a Christmas card. Thank you very much. We don't get enough of that. As
There's
we
no
have
more.
you, and then you go away and we don't see you again. Every once in a while, it's nice to hear, how are you doing? And so it's important to journal some of these insights you have, read books. How do they apply to what you're doing? So fantasy football is a lot like that. There are techniques, there are processes that you'll hear about or you'll do. And in
Yes,
fact, I recommend, Carla, that people in fantasy football keep a diary. What worked? What didn't work? You need to find, what are you strong at? Don't just, I'm strong at throwing TV because I get mad. Maybe you're really good at a quarterback assessment, but maybe you're really bad at tight ends. You need to know that. And
I
if you
love
don't
it.
know that, then you miss your strengths and you miss your weaknesses. And the trick is to juggle that and try to balance it out.
I love that. I love that you're talking about that because nowadays, not many people are using a diary, or not many people are in love with the writing perspective of things. Like my generation is still, using a pen and a
Paper.
paper.
Yeah.
But the new generation, all the
Yeah.
new generation, is the phones, the computer, and stuff like that. I'm still a pen and a paper
Yeah.
gal, and I love like recording everything, like you're
Right.
saying, in a diary or in a book of my own. That's so important because you come back to it. And I still go back to my diaries from like a while ago. Oh my God, like this is my friend. She wrote me that the end of the year. Remember when we used to give them our
Yearbooks.
notebooks and they,
Yeah.
yes,
Yearbooks. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still have them. I still
Well,
have
of course you
all of
do. You're
this.
sentimental. You like that.
Yes,
It
I
means
love
something to you.
this.
Right.
And this is so important for people to like regain that because we really lost it. So thank you for saying that, Dr. Bush. It's really amazing to
Yeah,
remind
so I
people
recommend
about it.
find your strengths, find your weaknesses, and it's important to
Yes,
know that. But if you don't know, then you cannot move forward in
agreed.
life, your studies, and in fantasy football. It's all kind of tied together. And I urge everybody to keep a fantasy football diary, keep your draft boards, write down. And if you didn't win, what did the winner do?
Yeah,
What were
yeah,
their strategies? How did they win over you? And see, well, maybe I should do some of that. So that is a key. But if you don't pay attention and next year hits you about August and you're doing the same thing you did last year, and
I
if you
love that.
lost last year, then you'll probably lose again. And you don't want to do that.
That's golden. That's golden. Golden words from your mouth tonight, Dr. Bush. Tell me, what's one myth about fantasy football that your scientific approach has
Mhm.
definitely busted?
So I think I have had to really pay attention to understanding things that are easily predicted and not predicted. Some
Yes.
things are just random. The football is a funny shaped ball, it's not round like a soccer ball. So it bounces funny. And so sometimes that causes very interesting things on the field, and it's can be hard to predict that. But again, tying back to answering questions. What are your questions? If you do your diary, you'll have questions. Why am I not good at figuring out tight ends? What
Yes.
is it that I'm missing? And that's a question. So what are the experts saying about how that they pick tight ends? Write down and see, does some of that make sense to you? What are you doing different than they're doing? try to up your game all the time. So in science, you have a hypothesis, right?
Yes.
You have an idea, and then you find data to support or not support. You just find data. And at the end of the day, yes, that seems to be supported or it doesn't. And here's a secret in science, it's about, and this is a big word, falsification,
Yes.
Carla. It is what is proven false. So, what we believe in science is what has not been proven false. Notice I didn't say what has been proven, it's what's been proven false. So, it's easier if somebody says all the swans in the world are white. They were because in Europe, all swans are white. When the explorers went to Australia, they had the black swan.
Yes.
Nothing in Europe could have predicted that there was a black swan in Australia until they, but one data point, it's like, look at this. Swans are either black or now white. And so it's called the black swan problem or the black swan hypothesis. And so that a lot of times one piece of data can change your whole perspective. And in fantasy and in life and in learning, something really simple can change your direction and add to your journey and make it better, more efficient.
I love that. I love that. I agree 100% with you because we always need research to see the truth at some point and change our perspective of things. And writing everything makes us understand the everything that's happening and all the studies that we need to keep our eyes open into it. Tell me a little bit about the origin story of the FF Lab and its name.
Okay. Okay, so it's back to the scientific method, that whole process of data gathering, hypothesis
Yes.
building, testing, and then having some type of conclusion. And usually the conclusion is more questions. So a lot of times science never will end, Carla. It just changes the questions and things really different. 100 years ago, as a microbiologist, probably in the 1880s, Louis Pasteur, nobody knew about bacteria. People didn't
Yeah.
understand why people got sick a lot of times. And they started this concept of, and there's some controversy still after all this time, vaccines. But if you get rabies, you will be glad. If a rabid animal bites you, you will be glad that we have a rabies vaccine,
Scene.
because
Yes.
untreated, you will pretty much die. So Louis Pasteur cured a kid that had been bitten by a rabid dog, and they actually made a movie in the 1940s about it. Uh, and there's a big scene at the end where they had treated the boy who had been bit by the rabid dog, and he wakes up. He doesn't die, and that was a big, in the movie. I like old movies, and that's a good movie about scientists. There's movies about scientists, and go watch some and read how these people were figuring things out, because people laughed at them. And in fact, here's something you may or may not know: vaccination, vaca is cow, and Jenner, who was a famous microbiologist, there was a disease that's been pretty much knocked out called smallpox. And if you've
Yes.
seen pictures of what smallpox does for you, you don't want that. Anyway, there is a cousin disease called cowpox. And milkmaids, people, women, and mainly women, because that was the 1700s, unfortunately. That's all, you were a teacher, you didn't have many opportunities like we do now for women. That's good. In fact, most
Yes.
biologists our girls now, if you actually look at it, I've seen it change. But anyway, he noticed that milkmaids who had got cowpox on their hands were resistant to smallpox. And he used that to make the first vaccine. Well, they laughed about it. He said, "Oh, you're going to turn people into cows." So they called it encowment or vaccination. So it was a play and making fun of something that saved lives, and it changed. But vaccination was encowment. They were afraid that the cowpox would turn you into a cow. They had a cartoon and it showed Jenner treating people, and they would become like a head of a cow or their tail or legs. I showed my kids that, and they're looking around because they couldn't imagine people were scared. And of course, now we've come full circle and we're
Yes.
sometimes unfortunately scared again. And nothing's safe in this world. If you think 100% safe, there's nothing safe. Going outside is not safe, right? You get hit by lightning,
True.
but we do the best they can do. And I trust science, but I understand it's not perfect, and I wish it was, and I wish everybody could be saved. And we're working towards that. We as everybody in science, but it's not 100%, and that can cause confusion, and
Yeah.
you get into some real world now. We're leaving fantasy into the real world, and there's a lot. Yeah, I wish it was, a magic wand and everybody would be healthy for the rest of their lives. I mean, God willing,
But I
that's what
agree.
we need. Yeah.
Science came a long way, and I agree with you 100%. But yeah, we're still not there yet with a lot of stuff. And this is something that hopefully in the future we're gonna
It's
get
going to
into.
get better. A
I
hundred
hope.
years from now, they're going to look back and kind of, boy, those people in the 2025, they didn't know a lot, did they? If it's 2125, they'll laugh at it, just like we're laughing at the people in the 1800s. Boy, they sure were silly. They didn't understand that you needed to worry about water, right? You had to boil the water if it was
Yes.
contaminated, or they just go drink out of the creek. It's like, and
I might be
people didn't.
reborn in 100 years, Dr.
Yeah.
Bush.
So we need to go in the future and see what the trick is. What are they laughing at? We don't know that. See, if somebody predicts in 100 years, you would laugh at their predictions. Go back and look where people in
Crazy. Yes.
100 years ago
Yeah.
trying to predict what would be now. They thought we'd have flying cars by now. I'm ready for my
I'm
flying
ready
car.
for my flying car. driving driving from Connecticut through Hartford or New Haven. I'm ready
Yeah,
for my
we
flying
need the
car.
flying car, right? You just go to work, yeah, or the teleport, like in Star Trek. You just stick
Less
in a
than an
little
hour.
box and jump to the
I'm
school.
there. I agree with you, Dr. Bush, 100%. Talking about prediction and everything, and especially that, respectfully to your age, you were saying that you started in the 1970s,
Yes.
teaching and
Well,
uh,
I was a student, so if you think about football, I was like on the defense as a student. Then I got to be a PhD.
easy.
I was an offense now, so I was on the offense for a long time, and
Wow.
now I'm through with the game. And but yeah, you start as a student, and then you become the teacher, the master, and then you pass on, and you
Yes.
clone yourself.
Yes.
That's what you do as a PhD. You get other PhDs and you
Right.
help them. Right.
Yes, I'm getting started. I'm getting started.
It's
So
good.
talking about starting like in that age, like in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
how you look at AI, and
Ah,
do you think that AI is a good tool of prediction for either biology, fantasy football, anything that it's coming to life right now? What's your thoughts about that?
yeah. The thought about AI in football. I think it can save time, but you need to be thoughtful about what it's saying and doing. It's kind of cautious. You need to be cautious. There are experts in different
Yes.
things like how to uh, cook, right? I mean, there's people that can just throw something in a pot and cook it versus a chef. And there's a difference, but AI can say, okay, you take a pan, you put this, it can help you, but you're still not going to be a master chef yet. And I think it just maybe saves you time on that journey. So if AI can cut our learning time, then it's a good thing. And I think that's what it's going to be able to do. I don't know about, it's hard to predict at the end. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, much
Yeah,
less in 10 years. I'm curious to see where we're going to end up. Uh,
I
you
agree.
know, I mean, historically, if you look at any technology, there's always starts and stops, and then finally, it's like evolution. It selects the best path, and we're still trying to figure that out. In the United States, when cars were first built, there were a lot more car companies than there are now. That's part of the process. Is everybody
Yes.
has an idea, they start a company, but eventually the best ones will be selected for. They'll have the advantage, and the small companies will not be able to keep up. And so we end up getting 4 or 5 major companies, and that's it. But when it first started, there were probably 20, 30, 40, 100 car companies. And that's so I think there are different ways to do the AI, different versions. And I'm curious to see what happens. What is the best version that comes out in these next years? And I don't know if we know that yet to even know which is the best version or what are the limits. Right now, nobody seems to know what the limits are. And
No,
that
I
can
agree
be kind of
100%.
scary. What are the limits?
Agreed. Agreed. I agree with you. So I want to ask you a question that it has been going around a lot of news about, especially that you're a biologist, about the cloning of dogs and animals. What are
Right.
your thoughts about that? Especially
Okay.
that some
So,
people think playing God is not okay, but
mhm.
we came to that point of cloning like life.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess Dolly the sheep, about what, 20 years ago, maybe further back.
Yeah.
What happened was that as we age, our DNA pieces we call chromosomes actually get a little shorter every
Yes.
time, a little bit shorter. And so what happened was, I believe, even though the sheep was cloned, they were born with older DNA. So we haven't got to the point yet where you can have artificial life in the sense that it's all lab made. We're not to that point yet. There's some positives. If it would help people grow, say, a new heart or something that from their cells, and then their body won't reject it. I mean, there's a lot of positives, and it's worth the journey. It's just, again, sometimes it's called second, third order effects. You don't know uh, what happens until you see it down the road. And sometimes it can be a little tricky on the side effects of any kind of procedure in medicine and health. It takes a while. Sometimes there was the thalidomide babies. There was a medicine that was given for morning for pregnant women. They would feel sick early, and they gave them this medicine. It caused birth defects, but they didn't know that
Yes.
until they'd actually given it to patients. We have all these procedures, different trials of medicines, but it takes a while to figure out, hey, this, we need to change this. And, but that's just the learning process. And it's not 100%. So I
But
think
Tom Brady,
cloning, we're going to have to go through, maybe not animals, maybe organs first.
this I agree
Get
with.
that down. Yeah.
But Tom Brady, he did clone his dog not a long time
Mhm.
ago. Luwak,
Yes.
I do believe
Yes.
that's her name.
Yeah.
So it's happening. It's insane. Like for me, it's if we can do that, like you said, why we cannot clone organs
Well,
and save a
that's
lot of lives?
it's the fact that it hasn't happened yet should tell you it's not as simple. It sounds simple, but it's not simple
Hmm.
on things. And fantasy football sounds simple, but if you played it a lot, it's not as simple as you think. And some people get frustrated because they don't think of the bigger picture. And
Yes,
I urge people in their diaries and whatnot to write down some of these thinking. And I think if you are honest with yourself, you realize this is a hard thing. You're predicting the future. It's hard. If it was easy, like I said, there'd be a lot of different society than we have now. If everybody knew exactly what was going to happen, we would avoid the bad and go for the good. And sometimes we don't
definitely do
know
that.
what that is right now.
Right, 100%. So, Dr. Bush, walk us through a typical experiment you run in
Okay.
the FF lab from a
Okay.
hypothesis to conclusion.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing I'm interested in is age of players. There's a lot of discussion about differences in age in like wide receivers versus running backs. There is people have presented various aspects that running backs wear out, whatever that quite means, versus wide receivers have a longer lifespan. So there
Yes,
is some of that in a physiological way. I kind of measure the output weekly and yearly and look and see compared to the age of the players, and I try to track when the majority start falling down. I mean, we age catches up with all of us, right? And we're not as
yes,
sharp as we thought we were. So I think that's an example, is where you say, what is does age affect the lifespan of a running back versus a wide receiver? You
yeah,
would gather up the age, you would gather up their weekly and yearly output, usually fantasy points, and then you would apply statistical methods to compare different groups and say, yeah, the younger players are here and the middle players are there and the older players are here. And it would show you statistically, is there a difference or not? And you would have a clarity about it. Now, again, this is group. This is not individual, because as we know, there are Tom Brady, for instance, great quarterback. He was in
yes,
his 40s before he retired, and he was still doing really good work. Not
agree.
every, yeah, there's always an exception. There's always somebody. We're surprised when somebody my age can lift a big amount of weight or something. Because if you have 1,000 of me, one or two are just going to be naturally strong and built to their genetics, and they're going to be stronger longer.
I love
Most
that.
of us not. So stats is looking at groups, not at individuals. So there are individual efforts and then there are group efforts, and it's easier to track group statistics than individual ones because there's a lot of variation in output. And of course, then you've got injury, then you've
Yes.
got the coaches, then you've got the other people around them, the quarterback, the offensive line, and there's a lot of it's a system, Carla. It's a system, and it's hard to study a system, right? If you were from another planet and came here and you saw a car and you never seen one, you'd be like, well, what is that? Okay, it can move.
Yes.
What
You
makes
want
it
to study
move?
it.
Well, what you would do would deconstruct it. You would take the windshield wipers off. Okay, will it run? Yes. So notice you're testing. Okay, take these rubber wheels off. Does it still roll and move? Yeah, because it's on the rims. Okay, that's not involved. Okay, what is this inside? Oh, it's an engine. Let me take that out. Oh, the car doesn't move. Okay, what part of this engine is essential? What part is not? Well, there is the radiator essential. Well, you could go a little bit before the engine overheats. So it is essential, but not short term. So it's called deconstruction of a system.
Yes.
And that is a scientific approach to break something down is you model it and you then take pieces apart and then add them back together, right? When you're making your dish, right? You add a little
Yes.
bit. How's that taste? Oh, a little salt, a little oregano. What do we need here? And that's how you become a good cook over time. Is you have your grandmother's secret recipe, and you do a little bit extra. Maybe I'll put a little sugar in there. How does that? And you'll find your own. It'll be Grandma Carla's recipe down the road in 30 years, right? You'll develop your own style of it, right? So, families have recipes. So, but how did they get that recipe? They tried. And,
Yes.
let me add this, let me take this out. And, maybe I'll have this type of cut of meat, right? Or that cut, right? And that is it's really, think about it, Carla, when you were a little child and they put you in your high chair and you were thinking, let me take this piece of food and throw it on the floor. Oh, and you look over, that's gravity. And you learned, you were a scientist as a child, right? Let me stick
Yes.
my hand in this and see, is the
And
fire hot? Oh, it's hot. You learned. Okay. Hopefully your
yes.
parents were there, Carla. I know you're running around the house crazy, but they had to catch you. Say, Carla, no hand in the fire. We were all born scientists. It's just everybody, I
100%.
think, forgets that we were scientists. So it's time in fantasy football, become a scientist. You are, and you were as a kid. Why not become one again? Come join me. Listen to me and my partner, Dennis Mitchelson, D-Mike Media. He's my partner in crime. We talk about different aspects of fantasy football in the fantasy science of fantasy football podcasts that we do. And you can
I
hear
love
us
it.
discussing these different methods. But we
Honestly,
want to be
I'm
a
like,
good cook. We want to
I'm
be a
so
good cook.
yes, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I love
Yeah.
education. I'm mesmerized with everything that you're talking about. And Doug Orth is making fun of me. And
No,
he's
don't.
saying that I'm still the same as an adult. So I am still the same as an adult.
Yeah, but
Yes,
you're the
I do.
kid scientist, Carla.
I'm
You were
always a
in.
kid at
It's in your
heart.
heart.
Always.
It's in your heart. You could be a scientist
Always.
too. Come on. Come join us.
Yes. So I'm always that person that love education, and I'm really so mesmerized in everything that you're saying today, Dr. Bush. So thank you so much for being on the show. Um, how do you decide when to publish a tentative finding versus waiting for more evidence?
Ah. Uh, okay. In fantasy football, there are things that I find that I probably don't put out there, secret stuff. But I hope in medicine and things that are critical, people do not hold things back. And there are examples, Carla, that clinical trials have been stopped and moved forward quickly when it worked well. If you could save a life life sooner, then it's fantasy football is not critical. Okay.
Yeah.
Medicine and solving and helping people is critical. So big
True.
difference there, but I hope everything gets published that is critical in medicine and in health. But fantasy football, I know people have got secrets, and yeah, that's just
Yes,
life.
they do.
Yeah.
And what ethical considerations do you think apply to fantasy research and public recommendations?
It's like I said, I think you need to have people that you can share some of these things with and bounce ideas and
Yeah.
your data and what you do. And usually these days in science, you have groups of people that you work with, and doctors have hey, I have this case. And in education, I know you went down the hall at a teacher that you really respect, say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. What do how do you teach this difficult situation or this difficult student? So it is an individual, but it's also a group effort, and you need to learn to balance the two. And in fantasy football, you do your diary, you do your scientific method, you learn about these different numbers and stats, but you gather two or three other people that are interested too. And they're good people to call. Hey, I found this information out. What do you think about this? Is this, worthy to study more? Or you need some sound. Here we call it sounding boards. Sounding boards. So you need some pals that you can bounce your ideas with.
Yes. So before I get to that question, I got
Somebody's
my
asking
daughter.
questions.
I got my daughter popping from Instagram, giving
Huh.
us heart. Today, she's legally 21 years old. It's her birthday. I'm gonna say happy birthday,
Well, happy
Kasia.
birthday.
Yes,
What
that's
is
my
her
middle
journey?
child.
Does she know
It
what
is.
she wants to do?
She wants to become she wants to become either a police or FBI, and she's really strong-minded girl. This is her last year in college as well. I'm super proud of her and her
What?
journey.
Tell her don't neglect biology in college. There's a lot of forensic
Yes, she
DNA
does
and
forensic. She does
blood,
that.
and watch
She loves it.
Dexter about the guy who's a blood expert, who's a killer. You got to watch all these good detective shows, and
Yes,
there's a
she's
lot
so
out
much
there.
into this.
Yeah,
So
I know
so
she
it's
is.
it's the perfect day with you being here and talking about
Yeah.
everything that she does in life. So I'm like super proud
Carla,
of all my kids.
somebody's got a question here, and
Yes,
I can't,
so
yeah.
Doug. So
Doctor,
he is asking about are some of the things you have learned from
from
Dennis's
Dennis,
approach,
yeah.
and what do
What
you
do you think
think
he's
he
learned
has
from me?
learned
Okay.
from you?
Yeah. Well, Dennis, Carla, you should probably have him. He got his degree in statistical climatology. Ooh, that's a
Wow.
big mouthful. He's kind of a weather guy, but a little
Okay.
bit more statistical. And Dennis is my go-to on game weather and the effects on the football. So at DMC Media on X, follow him. Have I learned he is good at patterns. So what I've learned from him is he cuts down the time that I need to find those patterns. I have the data. I think I understand it. I show it to him, and he said, "Hey, have you seen this?" So he shortens my learning time, and that is why it's essential to have friends who are really as serious about fantasy football as you. What has he learned from me? I hope he's learned be tenacious, always be working. Carla, I probably is retired. I probably spend maybe 20 hours a week doing my research.
Wow.
So I have a lot of time. My daughter's grown, she's working, and my wife, she's an artist and works
Amazing.
on her projects. So, at this time in my life, it's me and my dogs, and I have a lot of time. I don't really want to sit around and watch TV too much. I would rather
Of course.
go look at birds. I like bird watching. I like different types of birds. If anybody's a bird watcher, let me jump in. There is an app called Merlin. It's from the Cornell Ornithological Institute in Cornell University. They have an app called Merlin, and you hit a button and it listens for the sound of the birds that you're hearing, and it will identify the birds using AI. How about that? To identify their vocalness. So when I go outside my dogs, I turn it on and okay, they say there is a woodpecker. Okay, I'm looking for where is it? Or we have some dark-eyed juncos here. We call them snowbirds. They're flying in Arkansas. Where that? That kind of thing. So I'm always looking at different animals, and birds are very easy to have a hobby. That's one of my other hobbies, bird watching.
I
Uh,
love it.
yeah, I love to figure it. But your kids,
Yes.
if they're curious, to show them Merlin. It's like the magician Merlin from King
Yes.
Arthur. Merlin. Go look up
Merlin. Yeah.
Merlin in the App Store, and you will find that app. And it's something that if you go on vacation, you can keep track of what birds you heard. It's really
I'm gonna
very
share it with my students too. That's
so.
amazing. I love
I
that.
think Dennis has learned my tenaciousness and my depth of understanding and my approach. I call top down approach, not
Yeah.
bottom up. I use top down. Carla, I can come in. So top down means that I'm looking broad, and
Yes.
then I go to the next level in. So it's like a birthday cake. What's the
Yes.
frosting? What's the top layer? The next, the next. So in fantasy, it's like the league, the division, then the team, right? And then the different positions, and then the players. And that's the level I go. I think if people go bottom up and don't go top down, they can miss some of the interconnections. And that's another part of my studies is understanding a team, and a team is a system. And so what happens when a part is not working well? How does that affect the others? So when you're drafting come August, do you draft a lot of players from maybe teams that are not looking so good predicted wise, versus teams that are predicted to be really good? So obviously you want more better players from teams that are going to score more points, and worse players from teams that are not going to score. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
we get our points. So there are that aspects, the top down approach. I think Dennis appreciates that, and my different statistical methodology I've showed him. And I'm gonna leave it there. I could go deeper.
I would love to, get connected with Dennis at some point as well. Maybe after the show, I can take his
Go reach
information.
out to him. He's
Yes.
a weather guy, and he's also on radio. So he coaches people to be good in media. He's really an interesting fellow. Really
That
smart.
would be an honor,
He's
definitely.
really smart guy. So I would recommend him.
It takes one to see another. I'm sure it's because you are the smart one as well. How do you quantify draft value beyond ADP and projections?
Okay. So Dennis and I have, uh, we emphasize, and I know Bob Lung does this, the guy that
Yes,
starts the expo that I go to
true.
every year. Love the expo.
Would love to see you this
Consistency.
year.
Oh, you're going to be there. Yeah, I plan to be there. Yeah, I will be there as well. Dennis and I will both be there.
Awesome.
Consistency.
Yes.
Dennis and I really focus on players that are very consistent in scoring points. That helps versus players that score and then some weeks don't score. That's why you're throwing rocks through the TV. And so we use different ways to measure consistency and I test them. And so in the draft, we're looking for players that are predicted to have good consistency that are maybe being drafted later than they should. So you're getting into this concept that I learned from horse racing called value, right? You're betting on a long shot that has a better chance at winning than most people think. That's called an overlay at the horse track, right? You always want the not but if a horse is 100 to 1 odds, most of them are not going to do well, but every once in a while one does well. So if you're sharp enough to catch lightning in a bottle, you have a better chance at getting a strong team. And I think that's about 60% of your success. The other 40 is how you work weekly, your waiver wire and your lineups, and just thinking about who to start, who not to start. So it doesn't end with the draft, but I think you want to make it easy on yourself by drafting well. I'm going to stop there. We go into a lot of detail on our
Yeah.
podcast, and we'll be talking about that.
So, like I saying, we will have a point to meet you. We will make a point to meet you
Yeah, it does.
definitely in Ohio,
Yes,
100%.
we will in
100%.
July this year, folks. Don't
Yes, it's
forget
earlier.
July 24th to the 26th. Be
Yes.
there. We're going to have fun. Yeah.
This is my fifth year, I believe. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see you this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you in person. What's one draft habit you would ban if you could?
Draft habit. Okay. Draft habit for myself versus draft habit for my competitors. I would not draft anything. I would not ban any less than smart. I will not say the word stupid, but less than smart way to draft. I hope my opponents do that. I try not to listen too much to the new shiny players. You can become starstruck. And maybe, it's just because something new doesn't mean the old is bad, right?
True.
Just the new player could be good, but the old player might be good too. So
Yes.
sometimes I think people will get confused by that. And it depends on a running back versus a wide receiver. Running backs that are rookies probably are a little bit more sought after. So I'm not sure I would ban anything for my opponents. Me, I would just ban getting too excited. I try to be level and
Yes.
not excited. And it's hard, Carla, it's still hard. After all
Agreed.
these years of drafting, you get excited. And what I do is I use, Carla, it's called slow drafting. Are you
Yes.
familiar with that? Where you have like hours picks between picks so you're not in a hurry versus
Yes.
if you're on
So
30-second clock and you're crazy and what am I doing? And I'm
yes.
punching, I'm just, your head's exploding, smoke's coming out, and you're mad, and this person here, and I'm mad over there, and you get
So Doug's
crazy.
to play slow drafting and he loves it because he takes his time to pick.
Yeah,
And he does take his time to pick.
save it
And
in your diary, Carla. Are you good at fast drafting or slow drafting? I'm good at slow drafting.
I mean,
I'm
it's
successful.
for me it makes sense to have time for slow drafting, but at the same time I love the like the live drafting that goes really fast.
Yeah.
um in my opinion, for the fast drafting, you need to be prepared. Like you have
Mhm.
to have a list. You have to be prepared for it, and not just one name. In case that name is picked, what's the other name that comes next? So be prepared. For me, preparation is key. Like you were talking about, put a paper and a pen and write everything that you need to write, not just
Right,
put names out of nowhere without preparation.
right.
Education, preparation, writing everything ahead of time is so important. So, yeah.
You got a fan in the audience here. You killing.
Oh my God, yes. He's my significant other, so he is my fan, definitely.
Oh well, congratulations. I guess.
Thank you.
I guess that's good. I don't know.
Yes, he is. Hi, everybody. Thank you for chiming in tonight. So yeah, I love the slow drafting at some point, but some people they take it to the nick of time, and this gets me like so upset. Like if you have 24 hours, they take till the 24
Wow.
hour to pick.
There is a psychological aspect to that
Yes.
people will fill the time in they have. Yeah.
They
Yes. So there is a fine line uh, between things. I have fortunate with Dennis and I, if we have a tough decision, he and I usually have time to talk about it a lot. And we
really.
weigh and think and think and think and think some more. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. And it's and I play about maybe 40 or so leagues a year, maybe sometimes 50. Playing that many, by the time I'm done, about halfway through, I'm pretty much know what I want to do. It just becomes intuitive after that many drafts. So part of it is I do a lot of drafting, and that makes me, I think, better. But my data
Yes.
says my 6 hour drafts I do better than my 2 hour or my fast drafts. So
Because you
I
take
do
your
as many
time.
6 hours as I can.
Yes.
Well, that's I
I,
mean
I, I
that's
do
what
believe
makes
in
me
that.
win.
Yeah, I do believe in that. Some people love to have to take their time to draft. Some people work more under pressure, and they can make a better team under pressure. So
As long
there's
as they as long as they keep track in their diary, is that
yes,
really true? I
yes,
don't know. For me, it's not as true as the other, as the slow. So I know my strengths. You
yeah,
have such an advantage if in life and in fantasy football, if you know your strengths. You should, okay, here's your key here. Soar, fly with your strengths, manage your weakness, Carla, manage. Don't
manage it.
soar with your weakness and manage your strength. That's opposite. I mean, I'll tell you, an Olympic athlete doesn't worry about, I'm not so good at, you know, leaving the starting gate, but boy, I'm really good at the end of the race. They should focus on what they're strong at, and the rest of it will take care of itself. But
True,
if they spend too much time on the weakness, that can mess up their strength. So
and
your
bring them down.
kids need to find what their strengths are and go with it. And if somebody's really good at writing or talking or whatever, follow that. Don't pick something they're not good at. That doesn't make don't spend the rest of your life doing something that you're not good at, because
Yes.
it's not going to be fun.
No,
Find
it's not. I
something that
agree.
really fires you up.
I agree. So Sniper Mel is saying long drafts are frustrating for her. I hear you, girl. We were talking about people taking their whole time, the extended time until they pick. So I hear
Well,
you.
but okay, back to the diary. If I'm not frustrated because I know I'm going to win more than lose on those.
Yes.
So if you know that for sure in the past, that takes a lot of frustration out of it. So maybe that's telling me you need to double check what you should be doing. If slow drafting makes you upset and you don't do as well, don't do it.
Yeah.
The doctors, I said, Doc, this, every time I move my arm, it hurts. The doctor said, well, don't move your
Don't
arm.
move it.
Don't do it. So that's the same. If the slow draft drives you, then don't do a slow draft. But
Yeah,
make
it's
sure
psychological.
you're not really good at them, because if you are, then you're wasting your potential. Don't
Yeah,
soar with your weakness, soar with your strength. Find your strengths.
I love it. If you could run one fantasy experiment on an alternate universe NFL, what would it be?
Okay. No, alternative universe,
Universe NFL.
NFL,
Yeah,
alternative universe,
NFL. What
uh,
would it be?
in, an experiment, alternative. I'm probably not. When you say alternative, that implies different rules.
A fantasy football experiment, but
Uh huh.
in a different universe for NFL. What would it
Yeah,
be? What kind of experiment would you do?
an experiment, alternative universe. Well, assuming the rules and everything were the same, I would still be trying to break down by the scientific method and deconstruction of the process. I would be studying the process. So I'm not sure I'm answering what you're asking. So I'm
It's
first
okay.
that's okay. Maybe I'm not catching it.
No, it's fine. I want to put this fantasy dog is sharing something with us. He said, "Doc, will I be able to play the piano when with the piano when my hand?" He says, "Yes." And he replied, "That's
He
good.
can
I
never do
never
it
did
before.
before."
Yeah. Well, I can play chopsticks.
Right?
I can do that. Yeah.
We can all do that, Doc.
That's it.
Fantasy
That's
dog.
that is my limp. That's my strength. Is this? That's it.
I love it. I love that. So, honestly, it's more than an hour right now. We're hitting the
Okay.
hour, but I still need from you. I did like more than 100 something questions, and I didn't
Okay.
hit all of them.
Okay.
But let me ask you a couple more questions,
Okay.
and then I'll get to the most important one that Mel is always waiting for.
Oh, okay.
Um, is if the FF Lab had a theme song, what genre would it be and why?
Okay. If we had a theme song, uh, it would probably be Queen. Another one bites the dust.
Really?
Yeah. Why not? Freddie
Why?
Mercury had a voice. He didn't need autotune. Just go listen. Back in the 70s, it was an amazing time to hear his vocals.
Yes.
So another one bites the dust. That what that means is some bad idea, and we got rid of it. We're moving on. So another one bites the dust.
Nice. I love that. I love this one.
Yeah.
Would you rather have perfect weekly projections but no trade market, or a chaotic market with no projections at all?
So do I like chaos or certainty? I like certainty.
Yes.
With that
Why would
said,
you do that?
if everything was certain, it would be much harder to get value. If it's chaos, that usually presents lots of opportunity. So we have a what I would call in fantasy and the star, it's called a semi, what is it? It's semi predictive, or it's chaos, but there's some predictiveness.
Yes.
We know certain companies, or Google, and oil company, we know that they're valuable, but sometimes there are other companies that they don't know what it is, and uh, so
Hi,
the
Raj.
more uncertain, sometimes the more value, but you can lose it all too. That's any gamble,
Right.
any gamble. So we're getting to game theory now. So Carla, real simple. I'm gonna just teach you about game theory. Very simple. If you have a positive ROI on, say, rolling dice, right? You should roll dice all day long,
Yes.
small amounts of money all the time. If you have a negative ROI, in other words, you lose it throwing the dice, you should take all the money you're going to risk, put it all on one wager, roll, and walk out, win or lose, right? Or in roulette, red or black, leave. So if you have a positive rate of return, you should do lots of small wagers
Come
to
on.
let that build. So in
True.
fantasy, I'll do 20, 30, 40, 50 leagues because of the last, oh, it's been a while since I've had a losing year. I make money every year.
Awesome.
So for me, the more I play, the more I can win. So if I'm
Great.
not winning like that yet, then I would try to not play a lot until I can win, and that's hard. I'm telling.
It is.
Having come from the racetrack, it is hard uh, to sit there and not bet something. It's hard. If you want to test your psychological strength,
Yes.
take $100, go to the racetrack or the casino, and try to wait until you think things are good and make a one bet, stop, regardless win or lose, and wait a little bit. And okay, maybe I need to wait a little bit. That's hard to do. People want to spin, spin, spin. They want
They
to
want to
pull,
spend
yeah,
everything.
they want to go crazy, and there's
Yes.
your money. So that's game theory. That's the simplest game theory. Is the more positive it is, the more you
Step
want
by
to
step.
do it, the more negative you want to do one or a few. So if you're not winning in fantasy football this year or the last year, or you haven't ever won, next year is not the year to bet and play in a $500 league. Better to play 10 $5 leagues than one
Then one
$50.
500.
No, yeah.
Makes
So
sense.
just don't hurt yourself that way. So be honest, and that's hard to do because you got to be honest with yourself.
People wants
Because
to
if you
go
ask
and
people,
make the money like fast
yeah,
without
yeah, it's
thinking
hard
of
to
the
do that.
overcome.
Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the funniest tweet or fan reaction you've received about your research?
The funniest.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know if people, uh, I hadn't had a
Or
lot
maybe
of that.
someone on the podcast like said something funny for you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Let's talk about that.
Dennis and I usually exaggerate because, like I said, being a college professor, you got to tell funny jokes. So I usually
Yes.
make fun of myself or uh, being from this part of the world, and
Yeah.
I try to make it funny that way, but nothing on I mean, I'll throw some jokes in or something and I'll see her, but I don't know. I like to watch funny movies, but
Yes.
I don't know fantasy football. It's a lot of crying. I don't know if there's a lot of laughter. I guess the laughter is when you're cashing the checks at the end.
I love
It's
that. A lot of crying.
a lot of tears until you finally win. Then it's happy. Okay, a lot
Yeah,
of
I
tears.
agree.
The
People
road of
consistently
tears. Yeah,
a lot of
long
tears, yeah.
road.
Especially
Yeah.
this year. This year has been really an eye-opening. I mean, my team, my Holmes is like in the hospital of trying to figure out if he's gonna
Yeah.
do a surgery for his
Yeah. Okay.
knee,
Yeah.
and the team is out
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Yeah.
It has been a year.
Well, your diary. Doug said lots of variables. Oh yeah,
Yes.
we underestimate a lot, and we don't know what we don't know, and it's the uncertainty. You don't even know what you're missing sometimes. The only way I can deal with it is try to use a lot of data points and statistical analysis to try to break it down a lot. Yeah.
Crying.
Uh, Linda,
Yeah.
this is research time. I don't have the energy to do playoff fantasy football, so I'm just, and my team, Carla, my favorite team is the New Orleans Saints. I know, don't laugh.
Yes.
Okay,
No,
they're
I don't.
trying. But
They are.
what is your team, Carla?
My team
What is
is KC.
Case Kansas? Well, Dennis is a Kansas City fan. Big Kansas
Really?
City fan.
So we
Oh
will
yeah,
work together.
yeah. He has
I
all
love them
this
already.
shirts and hats and
Yes,
glasses. Yeah, he has all the paraphernalia for Kansas
I love
City.
it.
Yeah. So anyway, so my team is not playing, so I hope everybody else
Yes,
loses, but I know that's not the case. So that's a joke. I enjoy players now. I'm
yes.
scouting for next year.
Yeah, when you play fantasy football, it's I know that sometimes you have a specific team, but you need to watch everything and watch
Yes,
the
you do.
players and
I
all,
agree.
so you can make a great decision.
Yes.
Dr. Bush, we're done with our show, but I still have like a couple questions for
Okay.
you because before we finish.
That's fine.
And
I'm with you.
you and Doug, you definitely need to meet up because
I'll have
I
to
can
more to
see
do.
Doug being you at some point. Like you have so much similarities that you can talk about
Oh,
and you will connect on a lot of like similarities. So
oh,
you guys
okay.
should meet up. I kid you not.
Okay.
But
Excellent.
if if you could give one piece of advice to
Yeah.
every fantasy manager before draft day,
Yeah.
what would it be and why?
One piece of advice. Well, if you have a diary, I think the answer would probably be in there for you because I don't know your strengths and weaknesses. So,
Yes.
my advice is if you hadn't started, start this year, find out your strengths and weaknesses. Uh, there's going to be a lot of discussion between now and 1st of September. A
Yeah.
lot of highs and lows and injuries and players moving around, and it don't just start making opinions too quick.
Agreed.
Be
Study.
Don't make your final decisions until the end. If you go to the horse track, and if you've never been, Carla, you should take your family. It's an
Yeah.
experience.
I never did.
Well, it's fun in the sense that the best time to bet is right before the horses are released from the gate
Really?
because you have all the information at that point, right? If the
Yeah.
horse is acting crazy, you're thinking, man, he's using a lot of energy. Or if he throws his jockey off and the jockey gets, that's good. Or if he's acting like he got a broke hoof, you probably don't want to bet on him. So it's best to get all the information, then you do your draft. So don't withhold opinions. And it's I know it's inhuman to ask you that, but read books on how to do that. There are a lot of good authors out there, and I would recommend one. It's Dr. Annie Duke. She's a poker player, and she's also has a PhD. And she wrote a book called Thinking in Bets, and it talks about probability.
Yes.
And it's a really good book. I would start with Thinking in Bets. Annie Duke, Duke, and she's got some other books, but I would definitely start Thinking in Bets. It teaches you to think about probabilities, what's possible, what's likely, what's rare. So you need to be able to juggle what's a rare situation. Every player that you draft, what could be the worst outcome? What could be the best? What is kind of the average? And think about that distance. Is it like this? Right? You hope you're the best player. Could be Bijan Robinson next year, probably number one. You
Probably.
figure his worst is going to be better than a lot of other ones' best. So that's what makes a good first pick. So you need to think about that distance.
Love it.
Every player
I
has
really
a
love it.
distance, floor and ceiling, right? Is it like this or is it like that? The higher, then the more good or bad. Could be really good, could be really bad.
Really bad.
So
Agree?
think about your opinions.
I
So
love
I
that.
would withhold my opinions as late as I could.
And
Write
I
notes,
appreciate that. Yeah.
put that in your diary. And when you draft, why did you draft like that? What was driving you at that moment? You need to understand that because you'll forget in December, you know, why did I draft this player again? Write it down.
Golden words coming from a golden doctor. Thank you so much for
Okay.
that. So Daniel Hoffman is one of my Zumba instructors. He just
Okay.
came in saying never overlook the last draft pick. Thinking of Broke Purdy or even someone
Brockford.
not
Yeah.
picked in the draft like Kurt
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Warner. I
Mm-hmm.
never knew, Daniel, that you played fantasy football, so I'm glad you're here, my friend, and I appreciate that so much. Dr. Bush, we
Yes.
are almost at the end of our episode, but I still have one more question that
Okay. One
I
more
ask
question.
everybody.
Oh,
This
everybody.
question I ask everybody.
Yeah.
So, especially with you being, a professor, being
Right.
a doctor in biology and
Mm.
everything, tell me, do you have any secrets hidden? And if so, if that secret you never spoke of, or something that you did at maybe a young age that you never shared that story with anybody before, can you share it tonight on the Game
Uh,
Changers?
okay. I'm assuming that you mean something that the statute of limitations has run out. Okay, there are some. As a young man, I was a little crazy. I ran with some crazy people, did a lot of crazy things. Being smart, sometimes you think of things that you shouldn't think of, like, we should go do that over. Sometimes I would have a bad idea, but it was good, but it was a bad idea. So probably not a secret thing. Uh, I when I was early, and I would kind of be by myself. I would when I would go fishing. Here's a good one.
Yes.
I would cut the fish open and I would look at it inside too much. If you have 10 fish, you want to usually get their meat pretty quick. Me, I'm inside. Well, that's the heart, and so I would have, as a kid, I was trying to know what is that. I'd open their stomach up. What did they eat? Is that a cricket? Yeah. So I mean, as a biologist, you got to the set
Unity,
point.
yes.
You got to cut open a frog, and what did they eat? Is that a cricket or something? So I guess I probably did
Wow.
that, or would look at a spider. What are they eating over there?
Oh my
So kind
God.
of some morbid. I'm not a serial killer, but some morbid questions. Life can be, in biology is not always fun and games. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
somebody has to eat somebody to live, right? They got
That's
little
fun.
little critters to eat, right? The hawk has to eat the chicken. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens. We're sad for the chicken, but we're happy the hawk can feed its babies. So
That's the
Maybe
circle of
that's it.
life.
I'm not sure if that's what you were looking for, but that's what I
That's
can
your
tell you.
story.
Yeah. So that's
That's
what
your
I'll stick
story,
with.
and I do appreciate it so much. So before I wrap up, Dr. Bush, tell
Mhm.
everyone the best way to connect with you online and where they can follow your work. If
Yeah,
you have
just
any podcast or you have
yeah,
any,
it's the Science of Fantasy Football
yeah,
podcast. John Bush, Science of Fantasy Football. I'm sure if you Google that, you can find me on X, and I'm sure I'm on there on Facebook somewhere. But X is probably a TSA people. I hang with them. We do some stuff for them. You know, so they're good folks too. You should follow them. A lot of good, YouTube shows they have all the time on TSA. So Carla, let's get them all signed up for TSA. TSA,
definitely
good stuff.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I agree with you.
110%,
I agree with
110%.
you. Yes. So
Yeah,
Fantasy Dog was saying when he
serial
was
killer.
raising the kids, there was a
Yeah, there was
serial
a serial
killer
killer.
in his
He ate
area.
gum
Oh my
nuts.
God. They ate
Goodness,
donuts for a month because they couldn't get out. That's crazy.
I
That's
wouldn't.
insane.
Yeah, yeah, crazy
I, I would
business.
be I would be doing the same.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining us for this episode of the Game Changers. If today's
Okay.
conversation gave you a fresh perspective on fantasy football or the game of life, do me a favor, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. I read them all. Mark your calendar and join me next Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Cassie at the NFL for more game-changing conversations. Big thank you for JC for his behind the scene magic and to the powerhouse of TSA team for making this platform possible. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a review, and follow us on social media. Anything else, Dr. Bush, before we say goodbye to our audience tonight?
Tip my hat. Yep. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. It was really such an honor having you tonight. I really appreciate your time. You're such an amazing, knowledgeable personality, and I cannot wait to see
Oh,
you face to face this year in Ohio.
okay.
And
Yeah.
until next
Please,
time,
everybody come to the
yes,
expo. Yeah.
it is. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla with Dr. Bush tonight, signing off. Have a great evening, everybody. Have a good night.